Exodus is an upcoming single-player RPG in the science fiction genre, and its reveal at the Game Awards 2023 was perhaps one of the best new reveals throughout the show, in my opinion. And so naturally, because of several similarities with that of the Mass Effect franchise, today I'll be going through everything that we currently know about this upcoming game. First things first, Exodus is being developed by the fairly new studio known as Archetype Entertainment, and if you're a regular of this channel, you might remember that I actually made a video about the studio not too long ago. In a nutshell, Archetype was started by Wizards of the Coast with a few former Bioware devs at the helm, with MrHulthen being named the studio head. For any vets in the gaming industry, you probably already knew that James was the lead designer for, ah yes, would you look at that, Baldur's Gate, which led to him being a lead designer yet again for heavy hitters such as Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter Nights, Knights of the Old Republic, and Dragon Age Origins. So to say that James was instrumental to a lot of Bioware's former success is definitely an understatement. After James had joined, two additional key OG Bioware staff joined as well, that being Chad Robertson, who had worked at Bioware for over 14 years, and last but certainly not least, the one and only Drew Karpyshyn joined as well, who acted as the lead writer for Knights of the Old Republic and Mass Effect 1 and 2, games that have all been cemented as perhaps the best sci-fi RPGs ever made. Now obviously, Exodus isn't being made by just 3 people alone, and with what we've seen and heard so far, it would seem that the OG Bioware gang has accrued a very capable team to make this game. And because of how the game has been marketed so far, you would need some very skilled developers to deliver on the promises that's been made. You see, according to MrHulthen, the entire concept of the game is based off of time dilation, where time starts to act differently when you start approaching the speed of light. In other words, the faster you go, the faster time passes around you, yet you're still the same. This means that your choices will have massive repercussions on the game world, and while we don't really have the details yet on how this will work, it does seem pretty mind-boggling and very ambitious. Like taking the elements of Mass Effect's choice system and cranking it up to 11. Even Chad Robertson stated during the founder Q&A that making a game centered around time dilation is overwhelming, but in a good way, since the studio has total freedom of what game they want to make. Which was something that James also compounded was the reason to why they're able to make a game like this. He also stated that the game will not be linear, as in consequences and endings will vary wildly depending on what you do.
The game is definitely not linear. That's not the style of game that we've ever been interested in making. It's a game where you make choices. Not only will your choices impact the fate of your people and world, but also you're going to have the freedom to explore this new universe the way you want to explore it. That's always a very important factor in a role-playing game. So definitely not linear.
We'll most likely learn more about how it all works in the not too distant future too, since we've already gotten an entire reveal trailer spliced with some pre-alpha footage of the game. And yes, just like in the vein of Mass Effect, Exodus will be a third-person action shooter game, described as having intense action combat, and the way of the traveler is hard and unrelenting. Enemies abound, and mere survival will be a constant battle. Now, whether this means that Exodus will be more of an unforgiving type of game, say like FromSoft games such as Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or Elden Ring, remains to be seen, but I'd imagine there being actual difficulty settings just like most games have. Now, judging by the gameplay footage we've seen so far, it does look a little janky, but then again, it's very early footage, so I expect this to change a lot throughout development. I like that there are some traversal items that you can use, like the grappling hook seen here, and hopefully there's more stuff like this that we can expect when the game releases. Also, the game is being made in Unreal Engine 5, so we can probably expect some pretty sweet graphics and a smooth experience at launch. Now, combat and exploration are not the only gameplay aspects we can expect from Exodus, as the game will supposedly feature heavy roleplay aspects, and you'll be able to interact with your different companions in all kinds of ways. And making the companions memorable is something that's a focal point during development, according to the lead boys.
Companions are a huge part of the experience in Exodus. We're super excited by the palette that we're bringing to bear for all players, and we've got a exciting plan to unveil those over the coming months, and we think fans will be excited by them. But yeah, answer's absolutely yes.
As of making this video, we only know about one companion so far, that being the dude in the trailer, Tom Vargas. Yes, he's a companion, but you'd be forgiven if you thought that he was the player character. Simply put, you'll be making your own custom character, and it seems you'll be referred to as the Traveler. However, according to the official website, your character is named June, and June is apparently a human born with celestial heritage, making it possible for June, i.e. you, to interact with the celestial technology throughout your adventure. Also, yes, June will be voiced, so you won't be playing as a silent protagonist.
In the game, the protagonist is voiced. We want players to feel that identity and connection to the player, and voice is a key part of that to make it feel immersive.
Speaking of celestial technology, what are the Celestials then? Well, according to the official lore and James Olin, Celestials seem to be the main villains, and they're supposedly extremely powerful in comparison to regular old humanity. As we delve deeper, it's been revealed that the Celestials are in actuality very ancient humans that spliced off and evolved into an almost entirely new species throughout a period of roughly 25,000 years, with the game itself being set somewhere around 41,500 AD. On the official timeline section, we can see that humanity fled a dying Earth in the year 2200, known as the Exodus, with several Ark ships arriving in the Omega Centauri cluster roughly 16,000 years later, whereby they started colonizing nearby star systems. This unfortunately led to interstellar wars between various human empires, which is referred to as the Formation Wars. After this rough patch of humanity's expansion, the Celestials rose in the year 30,000 AD, whereby they were known as the Elohim. And this advanced new offshoot species constructed these giant portals that we see in the trailer, known as the Gates of Heaven, which subsequently sped up galactic trade and exploration because of faster-than-light travel. After this, the original Celestials, the Elohim, simply disappeared, but not before establishing what's known as the unbreakable laws, such as prohibiting the destruction of habitable worlds. The Elohim are supposedly so powerful that they can move entire planets to other systems, which, as an interesting side note, would put them somewhere between a Type 2 and Type 3 civilization on the Kardashev scale, which is pretty insane. Now, whether the Elohim return and become the main villains throughout the game, or if they're the good guy Celestials, remains to be seen. But we do know that there are other celestial empires we will be interacting with that started taking over when the Elohim disappeared. Now, another really interesting element of Exodus is the supposed importance of genetic engineering. Of course, we've already seen the extent of genetic engineering with the Elohim and the Celestials, but Exodus also has sentient pigs. Yes, in this short little video, we see Charlotte, who's referred to as an awakened domestic pig, together with some information about things such as vocabulary, scent magnification, and bite force. But whether we're getting an awakened pig companion remains to be seen, and chances are that this is just a showcase for how genetic engineering started, as in the follow-up video, we can see an in-game dating app that references awakened species as well as artificial intelligence.
You what?
If you're interested in some extra world building, I'd highly suggest checking out the short stories attached to each of these prologue videos. They're pretty cool. Alright, so you might be asking, okay, this sounds cool and all, but what's the deal with Matthew McConaughey? Is he voicing the protagonist? And well, no, Matthew's character has yet to be revealed, but he supposedly plays someone who takes up the role of a mentor to our player character, June. According to the top boys, Matthew will be someone who we'll be in constant contact with throughout the game, and from what it sounds like, he's the one who's going to inform us and give us insight on our decisions and what they might lead to. Again, hopefully we'll learn more in the coming months. As of today, we don't have a release date for the game yet, but since we've seen pre-alpha footage, it looks like the studio has gotten pretty far with development, so my personal guess is that it's not more than a few years away. Then again, Archetype has been pushing out a lot of information about the game, so we might be in for an earlier release than we think. Alright guys, remember to subscribe for more Exodus coverage in the coming months and years, as I'll be sure to cover this game more in depth as time goes on. Have a great day. MrHulthen signing out.